Welcome back to episode 5. Roll the intro.
Yeah, they call me a savage. I'm putting in work. I hustle and grind, I put in the time, get what I deserve. Savage.
Episode 5, brother. We're doing all right for two guys. Just
Not too
talking
bad,
shit
eh, bro?
about
Not
training
too
and
shabby,
footy.
bro.
Made it to episode 5, so I think we're getting a little bit better.
Mm.
Still having some good feedback from people, so that's been good.
What has been some feedback, bro?
I think the main one is sort of like the guys like hearing about sort of that behind the scenes stuff that doesn't really get mentioned. Say, what did we speak about one time? Just the mental game behind some of the decisions when you're going through your footy career, the training, what you need to think about, just those things that don't get spoken about, I think, like our experiences going through that and how that affected us.
Are these guys contacting you on Instagram?
Yeah,
or?
Instagram.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so yeah, all those messages, we get them, and I speak to everyone through DM, so
Cool.
that's all cool. Yeah, we usually don't have a subject to speak on. We just freestyle, which has been working.
Yeah,
We might
it
need some
has.
better structure as we go along, but the weekend, you sort of had your first trial game. How did that all go with the Harold Matt side? I had a little watch as well, so I had a few observations.
Observations? Yeah, look, I'll be honest, bro. We didn't do as well as we thought we were.
Yep.
But that's what trials are for, right? You go out there just to see how the last 6 to 8 weeks has gone for you. I think, a lot of the guys put in a lot of effort, but it's just some small things, some footy IQ things, some things where they'll find themselves in different positions that they've never been through. And, they just got found wanting.
Yep.
That's what I've observed from watching it on watching the game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're, as a coaching staff, we'll be addressing it for the next couple of days.
Yeah, it was really good for me to see and go into the grounds and see what sort of level Harold Matts is, and then we saw SG Ball after a little bit. And yeah, just a few observations I sort of was seeing, and I had a mate there as well who's in the NRL coaching squad. What do you call that? Like an assistant type.
Mhm.
It's his first year. And we're just speaking about guys having footy IQ. And I sort of noticed with your team, just it wasn't there. I'm being a bit hard because obviously, but just that development of trying to understand the footy game, I felt it was really just seeing the ball and just ball watching. There was no off the ball stuff, and that's probably at that age, it's probably a bit hard to develop, or it's quite a skill that you develop over these next couple of years going into SG ball under 20s, but developing that footy IQ. And I was just sort of thinking, how does that happen when you sort of have a coach? Like, I was lucky because in under 20s we had...
Yeah, well, we spoke about this, right?
we spoke about
And
this.
You spent plenty of time doing video work.
Yeah,
with,
we used to
with
smash
Jimmy.
video in under 20s.
Exactly.
So our coach was Jim Dimmick, and yeah, awesome player, half lock, very skillful. So when he was speaking about the game, and then we were just learning sort of his mindset behind different things and his looks at different plays, man, it was like so valuable, and you don't realize how much we learnt during those video sessions and training. And then our whole squad was pretty onto it footy IQ wise, and I think that's why a lot of them went on to play, higher grades and levels.
Well, that's transferable too, bro. Like you think about all the amount of hours that you guys did spend doing video and all that sort of stuff, and it held you accountable. First off, like you know during a game that someone's watching, and then you're going to go and review or revisit this during the week. And I think, I don't know whether we do that at St. George at the moment. I think every club should be doing that sort of revisiting or reviewing of a game.
It's hard to
It's
implement.
hard, bro. It's hard because the only way that I learned is by watching what I did. You know, and I feel like, if you have a good coach who knows exactly what needs to be done, and then you're listening to what obviously he's telling you to do, and then you can go and do that weekly, then obviously you're getting better. I feel like nowadays and age, especially watching the game on the weekend, there's not enough of that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we need to actually sit down with the guys and spend a bit more time individually and then as a team revisiting or going through, what they're doing right and wrong on the field, which is
But it's hard to implement, no? Because like the hours you actually need, like to sit down with each player or positions and then say this, it's going to take you like
it takes you a long time.
Like,
but I had a good conversation with
practicality
one of the coaches too, and I spoke about my Harold Matthews years, and I feel like I'm not trying to. This might sound bad, but I feel like we were a step above a lot of people. A lot of the guys that I played with in my junior footy teams for the Roosters did end up going and playing grade, just like yourself. And we didn't have video. We weren't spending that time, but we revisited stuff on a weekly basis. Like I remember having conversations with a lot of the guys that I played with, like Blake, Brett, Laney. And we would just talk about what we can do that was better the week after. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm comparing now to back then, but we were ahead of the times then. And I feel like right now a lot of these kids need to get coached and get guided a little bit better.
Yep.
That's exactly what I felt after that game, because I watched positions or players on the field doing things that they would not do normally. But it's because they were just caught in the moment. They weren't able to think right under fatigue, under the watch of so many people and trialing for a position.
Yeah, 100%. And
I think that's broad, but
how do you define footy IQ to be? Like, it's just knowing what to do on the field, on the ball.
I'll give you an example, right? There was this one player. I couldn't believe it happened. This he's a winger, and I was watching him, kick chase down, kick the ball, chase the ball, and he's come and sat in about 20 meters away from the sideline. And mind you, the guy who's picked up the ball is his opposite winger. So you're thinking, all right, don't give too much space to the outside, but he gave way too much space. The guy ended up going on the outside and scoring a try on the other side. And in my head, I'm like, how can you not understand or miss that? And this brings us back to what we're trying to get at. Revisiting and reviewing those decisions that we make, but at the same time not drilling it into their heads and just trying to coach them just so they understand. But you're right, bro. Like, it's really hard to say your fault. What's your footy IQ at? How do we find that out?
Yeah, it's good to speak about as well. I think I walked into Mascot Oval, and I could just. I don't know. I just felt like, okay, I'm back in that footy bubble. There's the parents there. They've got high hopes for their kid that's going to be playing. They want them to play NRL, obviously. They're footy fans. They're all kitted out in the gear. So that pressure of having those people watching. And then there's all the club. You got St. George versus Illawarra. And then sort of some NRL people there. And then I think, you have everyone warming up and it's back into that footy bubble. And just that pressure of being a young kid, and then footy's not life, to be honest. But when you're in it, you don't know. But I've been in it and out of it, and just footy's just a little part of life. So there's going to be there was probably 30 or 40 maybe kids that are going to get cut from there, which is sort of the cutthroat. And
part of the industry.
Yeah, it's a bit of a part and parcel of what happens when you're coming through the grades. You might be good enough, and then you know what I mean? You have a horrible game and that's your thing, but that doesn't mean anything.
How did you feel like watching that, bro? How did you... Because you've always... Well, the last time you left the game, you were in it. And now that you're... then again, you've been a trainer for Maldives and all that sort of stuff. So I guess you'd be able to visit from that side of the fence.
I do look at things differently than normal people.
Yeah.
Like when I go and I try and I don't know, I observe different things. I listen to and talk to my mates, and they're speaking about even the NRL guys coming through and the young guys coming into their first NRL preseason of not having that footy IQ. So I think just that development on that, sometimes it's luck. I think I might have just got lucky. I didn't play rugby league until I was 18. And then I came straight to the Roosters with Jimmy Dimmick, and we've done so much video. We had tip sheets every week and just learning the lingo and then how that plays into on the field stuff.
What age group was that, bro?
Jersey Flag 20s.
Jersey Flag 20s.
So yeah, I went straight from rugby union to Roosters under 20s, and that was sort of my straight into it from there. So I didn't have no rugby league background. I probably maybe played 10 games before I got picked up into the Roosters.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have zero. I had zero footy IQ, and then it sort of developed over that time. But being around the coaches, the video sessions we had, and the players, we came along pretty quickly as well. We had 2 years in that system, and I felt like we learned heaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, like it's just that off the ball stuff, a tip on. What I saw with the Harold Mats is just the ball watching. So it's like they're playing with blinkers on at the moment. Whereas sort of if you're in NRL, you're probably, okay, what's the next 3 plays we're going? The ball's over that side of the field. I'm looking straight up, and this is our shape. I think that's the main difference between the footy IQ. You know, you're just like one play ahead at the time, or you're just on that play. Whereas footy IQ wise, you probably 3 or 4 plays ahead.
3 or 4 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And you've got to be, man. Like that you got to remember, man, that it's harsh, right? They're 16 and 17 years old, but there's a lot of guys that are playing NRL within that 2-year period after that. Exactly. You know, within before 20. And the guys who are going to make it are able to develop that faster. That's all it is. You know what I mean? And being able to think 3 steps ahead. And I'll give you another example. There was one time when I watched Illawarra score a try, and I'm looking up at our defensive line. There's about 7 or 8 players within a short period of space, and then there's 3 players covering from the middle of the post all the way. That's footy IQ, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's a lot of things involved in that as well. You know, there's communication between you and your tired players.
Yeah,
there's understanding where you are and what time of the.
There's so many things,
but that's footy IQ, bro.
That's
the field, part of the game.
Defense, are you 10 out from the line? How
Exactly,
do you defend?
bro.
What's your system that your coach has implemented, and all those things? So it is a tough thing to work on as well.
And the only way that you're going to be able to work on it is by spending time doing video, I feel like, and just by asking or talking to people who understand the game a little bit better than yourself. So to develop footy IQ, I would suggest, no matter what age you are, you'd be able to spend a bit more time watching games and understanding where your position would be fitting out on that field. And then, like I said about Sonny last week, watching him on and off the ball, that's going to be able to develop your own game as well. So, footy IQ is a fucking big one, man.
And it's hard to define, even for us to speak about it. Like, you know what I mean? And then the system at the moment is if you just don't have it or don't got it, you just get cut at the moment. That's sort of how it works. So it's a bit unfortunate. I think some of the guys luck out as well with talent-wise, or you might fall under a coach. Say you have a big game and then you go into a full-time training system and you have an off-season with the big boys. That's a big learning curve as well, and you sort of can learn just being next to those guys of what they're doing compared to what you are. And then that develops as well. So the players next to you make a big thing, your coaches and all that as well.
Yeah, and you got those lights on you too, man. Like everyone's sort of watching you to do something. And if you're hanging around the right crowd, especially in the football game, you'll be able to learn a lot faster.
There's guys in NRL squads that don't have good footy IQ as well.
There's heaps of guys in fucking
don't worry.
There's heaps of guys in anywhere that don't have any footy IQ.
So, but yeah, it's good when you speak to people about a footy game and you sort of know they understand it. But it's a big part because you can be steps ahead playing footy as well. So,
but I'll be honest, man. Like it even took me being an assistant coach or just giving a hand to St. George to understand what sort of level of footy IQ I had, because I never thought I'd be able to speak about footy like this.
Yeah,
because I remember getting in front of the boys once at South Sydney, and we had to actually commentate, and I was a blabbering mess. But now that I've stepped away from it and come back to it, I get to actually see the game from a different light, and the things that I know are going to benefit players, I'm able to watch on real time and address pretty quick. So me being the blue shirt, I run onto the field and I give the guys, quick tips on the go. And I never thought I'd be able to do that, bro. That's my honest opinion about myself. But, I find myself during times going out into the field and I'm just running behind them and I'm seeing things so quickly. And then it just goes to show, I'm like, oh, fuck, I am actually...
Yeah.
I didn't realise because I was always in bro, when you're on the field and you're fucked, you just don't care about anything but your 1.5 meter circle. But now that I'm a blue shirt and I get to see everything, like I'm starting to see things. The guys like Coach Rowan Smith, the guys like yourself, the guys that I spend so much time playing footy with, who used to try to get that out of me whilst I was playing. So it does take time to develop that footy IQ as well.
Yeah, you don't realise how much like experience
Yeah,
you get, and then when you look at it and then go, and then you try and coach. I done a little bit of coaching with the Maldies and that, and then some under, but then also how much control you actually have over the team once they run.
Yes,
you got
bro. Zero. And like they'll say something and you're just like, what the fuck? I remember the boys on the weekend. I just wanted it just goes to show I'm in a different place to them as well, because they were all blowing up at each other and I just wanted everyone to fucking shut up and listen to me because I had something to say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you're saying, bro, like just going to go over the top of their heads at certain times.
Yep.
And coaching's been able to address it at a time where everyone's going to pay attention to you. And then, like you said, if you can spend that time like what Jimmy did, at video or, giving tip sheets and all that sort of stuff, I think you're just going to be able to slowly infiltrate those players to become better themselves in terms, once again, of footy IQ.
Yep, 100%. And then in those trials, you don't sort of have control over what your teammates are doing as well. And like if you're getting pumped by, you sort of got a few tries put on against you, so it's hard to shine in those situations as well. That's why I think like getting the most out of your training sessions, you know what I mean? You might play crap in the weekend, but at least you're having a crack at training, your physical and all that's in good shape. Like you're not coming last in fitness and then you play horrible in the weekend. Those two are probably a big cross. But then
just like a weekly checklist, right?
Yeah.
If you're hitting the marks in certain things, but you have a bad game, it still doesn't look too bad, right? But if you're not hitting the mark weekly, if you're just like at the back for fitness and then not having a dig during the game and you're not doing the right things outside of your training and games, then it just looks bad. It's
you want
just
to have a look like you're having a crack out there, eh? That's sometimes
That's all.
all coaches are asking and looking for.
And I'll be honest, bro, I was one of those players. There were times where I used to watch me play and cringe.
Yeah,
and go,
same. I can think of games
what
where I
are
was
you
just
doing, bro?
not even having a crack.
Just walking around on the
dying.
field, just dying, just like this big fucking sloth.
Yeah, as soon as your fitness has gone out on a footy field, like I was in
Yeah.
the centres, I didn't even make tackles. I didn't even make tackles and I was blowing. So I don't know, like.
But like even
we all have our
like
days.
this is another it's not a different topic, but it's along the same lines. But as you start getting older and you start to realize, or even as you develop and you start going up in ages or in, how am I going to word this? I'm going to try to word this properly. All right. So going from Jersey Flegg to Premier League, I noticed that your job was easier on the field, right? Because you're surrounded by better players.
Yep.
And then going from Premier League to NRL, it stepped up another ladder, bro. So you're better off figuring out how to, do the best that you can now at a younger age. And then you're like, without a doubt, as you start developing our footy IQ and going up with the older guys, you start realizing things are a lot easier for yourself. So
It's good when you play with some good players. Who have you played with actually over the years?
Over the years? Halves? Fuck. Braith was one of the best ones.
Yep.
He was just, he wouldn't tell you what to do on the field, even though sometimes you need that when you're tired. It's more or less like he just give you the doorway. Doorway meaning like holes, and you just go and pound them, bro. I was just like, thanks, bro. Bang, hit you, and you just go charging through a hole.
Yep.
And even Piercy, Juju was fucking awesome. Cody Walker, Adam Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
Mate, they're cracker, bro. Like, just real smart, can think fast, obviously. And then the direction, when you're tired, especially being a middle or a forward, the last thing you want to do, or last thing, sometimes you just don't want to think. You just need to have some sort of direction, and those are the guys that can sort of point the way.
Yep. And what sort of things would you ask the halves to do, or would they lead? And then probably different grades too. You'd probably listen more to the NRL guys.
Yeah, you'd listen to the NRL guys. You'd have a bit of more of a conversation with the guys in Prems, just because you're trying to prove yourself.
Yeah.
So it's sort of different lines. But when you go to NRL, once again, like I said, you're just looking to sort of half prove yourself and hold your own.
Yep.
And sometimes those guys will just need you to do one thing and one thing only, run the fucking ball up really hard. And that's what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you're in Premier League, you're trying to prove that little bit of a point. So you'll try to run a ball up and do something else that's outside your fucking parameters.
Is that the thing with difference between NRL and Premier League? Like NRL's more you got to do your job really, really well.
Really well.
To
you don't have to worry about things, bro. Like I found this is the first immediate thing that I noticed as soon as I went to NRL at a young age. I did not have to cover people around me. I just had to worry about what the fuck I had to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you look inside you and you've got like a 1.5 meters or 2 meters, and then look outside 1.5. That's the space that I had to worry about. The only thing, right? As soon as you go down to Premier League, you have to worry a little bit more, man, because you might have a player that's inside you that might not be able to cover your back. Not in our elbow, bro.
And you know the pass is going to hit you right on.
Pass is going to hit you right on the money, and if you don't catch it, you will get. Fuck, I remember Jamie Selwood, bro, fucking ripped me my
I seen
first
him on the weekend. Did you see him?
I didn't say hello, but I reckon he ripped me, bro. Against North Sydney, he fucking hit me. This is Premier League too, bro. My first game, I was only 17. 17, bro. Harry Matthews. Fucking hit me the short ball. It was a beautiful one. But I looked up and I shit myself because Joe Nalvel's in front of me. Dropped the ball and he just fucking ripped me into shreds. He's just like, mate, what the fuck? Hold the fucking ball, Chero. And I was just like, oh, shaking.
Yeah,
but
I think that whole generation from Roosters, fuck, they used to rip into everyone. Like, so there was Sowie, but then there was Finchy, who was at the Roosters. Who else was there? There was Braith. There was Josh Lewis. Stranger.
Orbo had a fucking rip into him. Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy Orbison.
Stranger was...
Stranger, yeah. Holy shit,
he
bro.
Used to rip
he
people
fucking rip you
it
in
was
shreds,
just part
bro.
of the culture.
But,
And
yeah,
you just
but
didn't
they were
wanna-
so good. They were such good players too, bro.
Good
like,
blokes too.
fucking good fellas, man. Stranger, bro. He was. I love playing with Stranger, bro.
Yeah, he's a
He
gun.
was good, bro. He's a weapon.
Yeah, he's a champion too. I haven't seen him in years, but
Did you play? Did he go over to France?
Nah, I'm not too
Super
sure.
League?
Super League, I think.
Okay,
But he had a pretty good decorated career
he did
as well.
And he came back and went to Manly.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I think that I don't know if players still rip into people like that.
I think it's frowned upon a little bit more these days, bro.
Fuck, we used to get sprayed. I used to be scared. Even our flag side took on that culture from the NRL down, and we used to spray each other.
Well, I remember
I've sprayed
when
people,
I went up to Queensland, bro. Like, I had that because you get older and you start getting more experienced and you start seeing things. Like I said, Footy IQ, it just brings out a different side of you, right? And you're playing with fellas that you know are capable or know really good players, but they just do dumbass motherfucking shit. And you're watching them on the field and go, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You're like blowing up.
Yeah, I used to like spraying people.
But like sometimes it gets the best of them. But this day and age, bro, fuck.
There's this one.
They're just gonna.
There's
crumple,
this
bro.
one player. Fuck, there's this one player that stuck in my mind who just didn't have a crack in our semi-final. Fuck, and he missed this tackle, and then he didn't cover on this, and I still remember him, bro, and I just like, fuck, I dislike him. I can still remember it. It was a semi-final, and we needed, I just wanted to win, and I was playing my hardest, and he was just mucking around, it looked like, and I was just like, yeah, oh well. Worst finals record ever, I think I had.
How many finals have you made?
0.
No.
I made 0. 0 finals.
Fuck,
horrible.
bro. I had a fucking good run, eh?
Yeah, I had a horrible finals record. I've only made semis. We qualified in our 20s year, second, and we lost both finals. We got knocked out straight away.
Fuck.
Far out, yeah. Prem League always lost major semi. We played Windsor. They had 12 men. We were beaten by 20 and we lost. Fuck, I've had horrible runs, man. Killers.
Oh, shit. Fuck, I had a really good run, bro.
Yeah.
I've been a part of teams or played in teams that have made grand finals. Not NRL, but Footy New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup.
Did you win New South Wales Cup?
Yeah, we won 3 times.
Q Cup?
No, we lost. Oh no, we won Q Cup, but we lost the international. But I wasn't playing that one. That was 2000 and.
What? So you won the
Oh
Q
fuck!
Cup?
No,
and
we
then
lost the Q Cup. Sorry, fuck, I can't remember, bro.
20s.
Nah,
Okay.
no, I
So
was
just
playing that first year 20s. I ended up going up and playing grade.
Yeah.
Grade, but yeah, just made heaps of fucking Premier League ones. Fuck, I made like I think I played 6 grand finals, bro. Yeah.
Make the big dance.
Oh yeah.
Righto. We'll wrap it up there.
Footy IQ. How do you develop it?
From a young age, I think watching good players, say watching an NRL game, seeing what are they doing off the ball. I think you always got to think, okay, just don't ball watch. Okay, look up in front. What's in front of you? Set up the next play. Try and look 2 or 3 plays ahead. That's probably the biggest one, I'd say.
That's it.
Done.
Is it? Yeah, done. That's
Cool.
All good.
Done, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Lads.